So what should we read into Trump's latest tariff announcement? For more on that, I'm joined in the studio by CGTN's global economics analyst, Saruhan Hatipoglu. And I want to ask you first your reaction to what I call the TTT, if you will, Trump's tariffs by tweet.
That's right. We've had another one of those, and it was expected, it was coming, because last time when it happened in May, things were going in the positive direction. But now, what is important here, Roee, is that this is going to hit the consumers. The previous tariffs were all about industrial business organizations. Now, even the CFO of Walmart said this. If this passes, the 10%, not even 25%, 10% on the $300 billion tariffs passes, we will need to raise prices. He said it 3 months ago. I think they're going to do it.
Both sides said these talks in Shanghai the last few days were constructive. That's what the White House suggested. Why make this move now?
Well, two reasons. Constructive is relative, first of all, and there's the Federal Reserve element of it. The president here expected a 50% or 50 basis points cut. And his team has told him that it would be actually around that level. So when he didn't get that, it might be the reason that he actually chose this, this route. But on the other hand, we also have to accept the fact that there should be a deadline on this issue. Like we talked about earlier, businesses are looking at every word that's coming out from both leaders to try to plan their strategies. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially when you don't know when these tariffs, if at all, would be applicable. So they have 1 month to negotiate, and everybody will be watching it.
Gary Cohn, the president's former chief economic advisor, basically, who himself was anti-protectionism, anti-isolationism, he came out on Thursday and said that the tariffs are backtracking, and that's not a surprise, are backfiring on the U.S. That's not a surprise from Cohen. Do you think Trump is listening to that? Does he care what Cohen has to say?
No, I think if he did, he would ask him to stay on. Gary Cohen, as Larry Kudlow and Steve Mnuchin, is actually a globalist in mind. But when in Rome, right, as the Romans do, he didn't have a choice, but he stepped out of it. Now he's also talking about this specific tariff. So I think he was for the other ones to show some kind of strength to the Chinese that we can actually do it in the U.S. But this one, again, when he starts hitting the consumers, that's going to be a problem. Roy, if you look at the imports from China, 40% of the apparel to the United States last year was from China. Almost 70% of footwear is from China. And these are the goods that are going to be tariffed if this becomes implemented come next month.
When it hit America's farmers, the Trump administration offered them a bailout package. How can Trump help the American consumers?
He can't, because the consumers are 2/3 of the global U.S. economy here. And if they get hit, and by the way, if you look at the numbers, last GDP numbers, it was only consumer spending that kept the economy going. Business investment was down, things were slowing down, and a lot of people talk about lagging indicators. I'm going to give you a leading one. Small business employment. Surveys say that they're actually cutting off workforce. So this is not a good sign for the economy. If the consumers get hit, there's not much that he can do. He would have to come up with a tax cut, which is not going to be accepted by the Congress.
Trump, I want to ask you, how do you think Beijing will respond to this latest tariff move?
I think they expected this, and I think what they're going to say is, okay, we're going to wait. We're going to wait. You have elections, and we're going to wait until that time comes, and we're going to talk to, if you win, we're going to keep talking. If the other side wins, we're going to talk to them. I want to caution on that strategy, though, because a former State Department official said it's open season on China, and everybody's got a hunting license. It's the Democrats and Republicans. Things are different now. So things are going to be tough for the Chinese, but what they're going to do now is absolutely nothing. What I'm going to tell you, though, in the September talks, if the tariffs are implemented, they may not send a delegation here.
But Trump has said a few times, he's accused the Chinese of wanting to wait for a, quote, softer leader. He means, obviously, if a Democrat replaces him in the White House. How much of a role is presidential politics playing in these discussions in this China trade war?
A lot from the Chinese side, and that's what I want to caution, because look at Chuck Schumer's comments. Chuck Schumer is President Trump's biggest ally when it comes to strong stance on China. So to think that if a Biden presidency or Harris presidency, or you pick one from that crowd of 20, is going to dramatically change the approach of the United States. That might not be the case, as it would be the case about a decade ago probably, but things have changed.
Chuck Schumer, of course, the Senate Majority Leader there, a Democrat. Saruhan, thank you for your insight.
Pleasure to be here.